Welcome to the Sowing Hope podcast. This is a show all about implanting hope in our hearts. I'm Bill Snyder, joined by my friend Dan DeSantis. We're glad you're here for our uplifting conversation about faith and how it sustains our hearts through all the seasons of life. Thanks for walking with us. And hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Sowing Hope. I'm Bill Snyder, and today we are just so blessed to be here once again with Ann DeSantis, my friend. Thank you for being here, and on episode number 4, I can't believe it, of Sowing Hope.
Hi, Bill. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can.
We're got a new set of headphones here, so just double checking here, making sure you can all hear us.
Yeah, I think so. I think everybody can hear everybody, and that is good news. That's great news. So we're off and rolling here on number 4. It's so hard to believe we're on our 4th episode already in 2 weeks, but here we are, and we're also in the throes of Lent, right? We're right in the beginning of the Lenten season. It's Thursday after Ash Wednesday, and here we are talking about forgiveness tonight. So if you want to join us and you're listening live on Podbean, again, feel free to do so by just messaging us right in the messenger that's available in the Podbean app. And then you can request to go on air with us. But we do ask that you just put your question inside of the messenger so that we know what you're going to say or talk about or what question you might have for us if you do want to join us on air. But it's going to be an exciting conversation today. So, Ann, thank you for having it with me today.
Yeah, I'm excited because I love this topic of forgiveness. And, this podcast is for absolutely anyone who wants to join us. Bill and I happen to be Catholic, and that's how we celebrate our faith. And I have some reflections I thought we could kind of take a look at and discuss online here. The first one I have that Bill, maybe we can look at is that regarding forgiveness, it says, no God, no happiness. No God, no happiness. Now, of course, the first set of no's is N-O, and then the second set is K-N-O-W. So I think that's where it all begins, is that when it comes to forgiveness, I think that we have to look at the fact that it all begins with God, doesn't it?
It really does. I think for a lot of people listening out there that maybe are questioning their faith or don't believe, for at least for you and me, it has to start with God, and I think that when we know God intimately, when we have a relationship with Him, who, by the way, desires to have a relationship with us, I think when we get to know Him, we get more peace, we get more love, we get more understanding in our lives. Absolutely, you're totally right. And if we cut Him out, if we intentionally say, "Oh, there is absolutely no God, He does not exist," then yeah, it's difficult to say that. But you're exactly right. It doesn't have the same. We don't have that same interior peace, maybe.
Yeah. Because that's what it comes down to, I think, in daily life, Bill, and for anybody listening, is we're all looking for some kind of peace. And I think all of us have somebody out there that we're having a hard time forgiving. Muhammad Gandhi said that the weak can never forgive, that forgiveness is an attribute of the strong. So I just want to put that out there for everyone that, it isn't easy to forgive someone. We're in this season of Lent. As I mentioned, Bill and I are Catholics and celebrating our faith in that way, and grateful for the gifts that the church has to offer when it comes to the sacraments, because they help us to stay strong during difficult times. But I think that's a good word of advice from Muhammad Gandhi, that It is hard, and only the weak can forgive, because, I think we need God in order to be able to forgive. What do you think, Bill?
Oh, absolutely. We definitely need God, and also it always takes a bigger person to forgive, or even seek forgiveness. So sometimes we have to be the person who seeks out forgiveness for our wrongs too. And that takes a lot of strength. It takes a ton of strength to be able to reach out and say, "Hey, will you forgive me for this?" It's also big when somebody doesn't ask for it and doesn't say, "I want to forgive," or be forgiven, but we offer that forgiveness even if they don't ask. I think those two things take incredible strength, and it is certainly not for the weak at all. It is for the very, very strong. In fact, I think there are very few people in the world today that are capable of the type of forgiveness that Christ calls us to. I mean, he calls us to a radical forgiveness, right? When he asked when the apostles ask him, "How many times do I need to forgive my brother?" 7 times. He goes, "No, 70 times, 7 times."
Yeah.
It's a radical, difficult forgiveness. This is not, just like some, mamby-pamby type of forgiveness that he's calling us to. It's a radical forgiveness that means reaching into the depths of our soul and saying, "Hey, yeah, I truly forgive you."
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, because I know I don't think there's a human being alive that doesn't or hasn't been affected, I should say, with not having to forgive someone. Or, you know what, maybe we're the person that we want someone to forgive us, but it's just not happening. And I think, Bill, I don't know about you, but I think that's where prayer comes in, because sometimes, some things are just out of our control. I mean, for anybody listening, just keep that in mind, that, not everything is in our control. That's where God comes in. That's where belief comes in. That's where, the virtues come in of being patient and waiting on God for, the name of our ministry here is Sowing Hope, right? So I want to just invite, if you're listening right now and you're a person who you need some hope in your life, that's why we're here, Bill and I. We're meeting here every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I know we have people from all over the place. So I want to say hi to you, no matter where you're coming from. And then we're also going to meet on Tuesday mornings, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm coming to you guys from Pennsylvania in the U.S., and Bill is coming to us from Wisconsin. So we just invite you to become a part of this podcast and joining us on Sowing Hope.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. It's a community too. I think that's another, really important thing to remember is that this is a community of people, and we both have pages on our websites, and there's a Facebook group that we have set up, or a Facebook page, I should say, we set up. So yeah, reach out to us, connect with us in between the shows, and tell us what topics you want to hear. Tell us, what you think of the show. Engage with us, because that's how we get to connect with listeners. We get to connect with one another, and we get to share really meaningful topics with you. I mean, the last show was awesome when Father Phelan jumped on and was able to chat for a little bit, and so yeah, we want to serve you. I think that's the biggest thing. Of course, we can pick out a topic from the church or the catechism or the Bible and talk about it for a half hour, but we want to connect with you and get to know you, our listeners, and make this a community, because we're a community of believers from around the world. Really, I mean, wherever you are, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, wishing we in Pennsylvania, it doesn't matter. We're here for that.
That's right. I found another quote I thought I could just read out to everyone. Yeah. And this one is from Pope Francis. And it says that the Lord never tires of forgiveness. It is we who tire of asking his forgiveness. Let us ask for the grace not to tire of asking for forgiveness, because he never tires of forgiving. I think that's a good one from him because sometimes we feel like, you know what, I messed up again, or maybe somebody did something to us where we need to, actually extend forgiveness. I think the hardest thing sometimes is when, people do things to us, say things to us, offend us, and, we don't see that repentance on their side. But another thing that I found here is that that sometimes, I don't know if you've ever heard of this one, but to withhold forgiveness is to take poison and expect the unforgiven to die. That's another good one where, sometimes we have to forgive people who really, honestly, they're showing absolutely no signs of caring about us, caring about our families, what we do, and they continue to offend. What I would say there, I mean, in my own life, what I've learned is, that forgiveness helps us to move on. But it doesn't mean, now you've heard this before, somebody who's listening, it doesn't mean that you continue to have that relationship with that person. Sometimes you do have to kind of make a little bit of a wedge between the two of you because maybe it's not healthy. So I think it depends on the situation. What do you think, Bill?
I totally agree with you. In fact, I read an amazing book out there. It's been out for a very long time, but I remember reading it in one entire day. There's a book out there by her name is Debbie Morris, and she is a survivor of many horrible things in her life, but the first being that she was happened to survive one of the attacks that was publicized in the book Dead Man Walking by Sister Helen Prejean, and she wrote a book out there called Forgiving the Dead Man Walking. And while Sister Helen's book is phenomenal and it's a amazing book about the injustice of the death penalty, which we won't get into right now, but Debbie Morris, when she wrote this book, talked about the process of forgiveness, of being one of the only people who survived, this rape and several other people got murdered and were killed, and she ended up surviving this and walked this road of forgiveness to end up forgiving the dead man walking, the guy who was eventually executed for a crime, for the crimes against her and others. And what was amazing was she said almost exactly what you just said about, how, sometimes there has to be a wall in between. She didn't go to his execution. She never talked with him ever again after the trial was over, and never saw him again. But she was able to forgive him and transcend the barriers of, the hatred that were there, all of those things. She was able to move past it and entrust it to the Lord. But you're right. I mean, there was no way she was ever going to have a relationship with this man again, or, even become a pen pal. I mean, he had done unspeakable, horrible things to her. And so I just think when we talk about forgiveness, you're exactly right. It's not drinking poison ourselves and expecting the other person to die. It's just entrusting to God and saying, I truly do forgive this person. I truly do just release the hatred, the anger, all of the things that are bottled up inside of me when I think about this situation or this person, that I'm letting it go,
Yes. It's a gift.
It really is. It is. It really is a grace. And, it's something that we have to pray for because when we talk about the nitty gritty of forgiveness, oftentimes we really can't do it ourselves. I mean, it's a hard thing to do. I mean, I can probably count on one hand the number of times I've successfully done it, to the point where I feel like I feel forgiven and they feel, that I've forgiven them, and vice versa. Even when I've offended somebody or hurt somebody, I often feel that I've, offended and hurt them, and I have to go and seek that out. And that's hard. That is such a hard thing to do.
It really is. And I think it takes a lifetime sometimes to forgive, but it's a day-to-day process. Now, for anybody listening now, I don't know where you all stand with faith. Bill and I are Catholic, and we get a lot of our strength from the church and from the sacraments of the Catholic Church, because part of faith, really, honestly, is forgiveness. And that I think that really does help, knowing that we can have God. God helps us to forgive. That's who does it, not us, right? Because if it was all about Anne being able to forgive so and so, guess what? It would never happen. Seriously, right? So through God's strength, we can forgive. And I have another quote that this one is from Pope John Paul II. He said, "Forgiveness is above all a personal choice, a decision of the heart to go against the natural instinct to pay back evil with evil." Because guess what? Isn't that kind of the world that we're living in right now, everybody? Aren't we living in this world where everybody wants to get so-and-so back for what they did? There's so much, unfortunately, there's a lot of violence in our world. And that's partly why Bill and I wanted to come together with this podcast, because we want to help to sow hope in your life. So I want to ask everybody, if you're out there listening, please bring a friend on next time. Join us to help us sow hope in our world, because you know what? We can pray for one another, because it's all about community. It really is. We're all human beings that are on earth at a specific time, in eternity, that are here together right now for a reason. Okay. But it's not about us individually. It's about all of us, right? We're living together, trying to live the best lives that we possibly can. So, I'm just grateful for the fact, Bill, that you've invited me to be a part of this mission, and so that we can all pray for one another as we are trying to, as the topic for tonight, forgive people, right? And forgive ourselves, because sometimes it's not always just about forgiving others, but it's forgiving ourselves for the times that we've messed up in our lives, right?
Yeah, we can offend our relationship with God just by ourselves. Of course, all sin is public, and all sin is, corporate in some stretch of the imagination, because even if we think we're sinning by ourselves, we do commit corporate sin regardless. We're always offending somebody, But one of the amazing things that I think God allows us to do when we talk about forgiveness of ourselves is, at least in the Catholic context, is the sacrament of reconciliation. Because a lot of times we have to come to terms in that confessional when we talk with the priest, and we're sharing. Oftentimes we have to really forgive ourselves. We have to really, say, man, I screwed up. I wonder if there's any hope for me left out there, and I wonder if I can get past that in my life. And part of that is releasing that forgiveness of ourselves. Yes, you know what? I did screw up. And by the way, God, I know with your help, I'm going to make that firm amendment to amend my life, right? I mean, isn't that what we say in the Act of Contrition, that I will sin no more. Now that's a bold statement in itself, that we're never going to sin again. But, we're going to attempt to become more and more perfect. And by doing that, sometimes the only way we do that is to actually forgive ourselves of what we've done. And we need some help with that sometimes. And so, a lot of it, I think, for a lot of people out there is ends up being a self-worth issue. I think, Satan absolutely loves to toy with people, and he loves to say things like, you've sinned, you've screwed up, there's no more hope left for you. You're going to, rot with me in hell. And I think that, that image of that inside of our minds and hearts sometimes just scares us, and we think, oh, we can never be whole again. We can never be, forgiven for the things we've done. And God, meanwhile, has already forgiven you. You walk out of that confessional, with a contrite heart, seeking His forgiveness. He's forgiven you. Why are you holding on to it? I mean, I'm guilty of that. I'm still guilty of that. Why am I still holding on to this stuff that I've dealt with for many, many years? It's because I'm unwilling to just say, you know what, I can't forgive myself. And that's where that's crazy. But we do it. It's a constant theme.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, and I think as all of us continue to live and grow in our lives, we realize that, we're never going to be perfect. Okay. I just have to make that known to all of us here that, I think all of us try to be perfect in some ways, but it doesn't happen while we're on earth, I don't think. But knowing that we have, as I said before, Bill and I being Catholic, and I don't know how many of our listeners here are Catholic, but there are many gifts in the church. And one of them, as Bill was talking about, is being able to release those mistakes and sins that we make in the sacrament of confession. I thought I could read a quote from Mother Teresa, Saint Teresa of Calcutta. She says, "People are often unreasonable and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you are kind, people will accuse you of ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you are successful, you will." Okay, I'm having to put my glasses on here. You will win false friends, and some true friends succeed anyway. If you are honest, people may cheat you. Be honest anyway. What you spend years building, someone could destroy overnight. Build anyway. If you find security and happiness, they may be jealous. Be happy anyway. The good you do today, people will often forget tomorrow. Be good anyway. Give the world the best you have, and it may never be enough. Give your best anyway. You see, in the final analysis, it is between you and God, you and your God. It was never between you and them anyway. So if you've never heard that one, look it up again. It's and as Catholics, we refer to her as Saint Teresa of Calcutta, but she's also, what the world knows as Mother Teresa. And, that's a good one. If you Google Mother Teresa anyway, you can pull up that poem or saying, whatever you want to call it. And I think it's a good one to meditate on because, just remember, there's not one person in the world that's above God. So if you feel judged, if you feel unforgiven, if you feel like you're lost, remember that God is a prayer away. He really is. And He's your judge, because in 100 years from now, what some of the people think about us or what we do, what we say, how we live our lives is between, us, as Bill said, when you bring your sins to God, it's between you and God, right? It's not between you and the whole wide world. So you bring that to the Lord. Of course, the Lord will help you to be forgiven also for, the sins that you commit against others. So I'm grateful for it every day, and for the strength that we can get through our sacraments.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
Yes.
The other big thing I think that is such a beautiful way to contemplate forgiveness is really look at the sacrifice of Jesus. I think he went to the nth degree to forgive us. This guy is our God. Is amazing. He's perfect in every way, right? I mean, he had no business. He didn't need to come down and redeem us. He didn't have to come down and suffer for us or with us. That was not what he had to do in any way, shape, or form. But he did it because he loved us, and and he proves the love that he has for us on the cross. And so when we look at the cross, we look at the crucifixion. I mean, you watch a movie like Mel Gibson's The Passion, and you see what he did, this perfect man, this perfect God, but fully human, fully God, what he did for you and me and everybody. I mean, what he did for you and me and everybody is just amazing. And
It is.
when you think about forgiveness, look what he did to forgive you. Look what he did to forgive you. And maybe you're not Catholic, maybe you don't have the sacrament of reconciliation in your life, and maybe you're not even Christian, but I encourage you to take a look at the story of Jesus and go deeper into it. Go deeper into it and look at the cross and look at what this guy did for us. He, or at least what he said. If you don't believe, just think: is there any other person in history that would have done what he did for everyone that he could possibly redeem? I don't see it in any other human being, in any other claimed to be deity that is out there. In our world, I just don't see it. Jesus, to me, backs up everything he says, and he does so in an ultimate act of sacrifice, an ultimate act of forgiveness, sacrifice so that we can be forgiven through him, is the way I want to put that.
No, thank you, Bill. I mean, that's exactly, bringing up Jesus is important because for us, that's where our salvation is coming from. I wondered if, Bill, you would mind if there was something else that I found that I thought might be helpful for people listening.
Oh, yeah,
this topic is forgiveness. It says, and this is kind of homework for you. So if you're listening and you want a little homework from till the next time we meet, like I said, it's Tuesday, 9 a.m. Eastern time. It's to think of someone who's caused you pain and ask God to help you forgive them. Spend the day praying for them. Now, does that mean you have to spend the entire day with your head down praying for that person? Well, if you want to, you could. But no, just spend some time in your thoughts and lifting it up to God. Look up in the sky. Look at a cross. Put your hands together and just close your eyes and pray for somebody. And God's going to hear you. God's going to hear you. I do want to make a shout out to
but I think I lost you there.
Okay. Are you there, Bill?
You're back now.
Okay, good. I'm sorry about that. For anybody who, your parents, maybe that you are a person who's affected by divorce and separation, the foundation that I happen to work for, I'm a director for the St. Raymond Nonatus Foundation. We're located in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. That's where we're headquartered. We help people who are affected by divorce and separation. So I wanted to just put it out there that this evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, that's in an hour and a half from now, we're having a special meeting online for those who are children, adult children over 18 of divorce and separation. So if you're interested in joining an online meeting, I would say go to our website. It's nonatus.org, NONNATUS.org. And on the first page of the website, you'll see the link for adult children of divorce at 8 p.m. tonight. So if you'd like to join us, please come online. And it's a 1-hour meeting where we talk and reflect and pray and just think about some of the things for those who are affected by parents that have been divorced and how that can affect your life. So thanks for letting me have that opportunity, Bill.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think it goes without saying that, any way that we can serve our brothers and sisters out there that might be hurting and need hope is a way to do it. So absolutely, it's a great organization, and one that you're familiar with as a director of it. So totally appropriate to be able to talk about that, especially in forgiveness. I mean, there's a lot of situations in a divorce that require some forgiveness. So for sure, even children need to forgive their parents, and parents need to forgive each other, and there's just spouses need to forgive each other. So there's so many different elements there in that work, and how much forgiveness is necessary. So I mean, just the other thing too is really we encourage you to check us out, follow us on social media. It's very easy to go to our websites. We give them at the end in the bumper, but it's very simple: patchworkheart.org and andesantis.com. I mean, just Google us or go right to our websites and connect with us there. All the episodes of Sowing Hope are available on our websites, so it's super easy to listen to past episodes. Share it with a friend, right? I mean, we said that a few times, but bring a friend online, share it with a friend. It's available on anywhere podcasts are found. So we really just want to encourage you and thank you for joining us tonight. It's been a pleasure, always talking with you, Ann, about these topics, and looking forward to next week. Next Tuesday we'll do this again in the morning, and we'll have different audiences too, right? I mean, we've got some good listeners tonight, but there'll be even more listeners, in the morning sometimes. So it just really depends on what people's schedules are and whatnot. So if you can join us live, we always want you to join us live.
Should I mention, Bill, that the next topic Bill and I kind of came up with a list of topics. So if you're listening, you want to come back. Our next topic is judging others. So join us Tuesday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to discuss judging others. So thank you, everybody. It's such a pleasure. I can't wait for our next one. And we'll pray for you. And you can feel free to reach out on our websites for any prayer requests that you might have. And hope I might be able to hear from you tonight, some of those people who are adult children of divorce. So
yes, absolutely. Well, Ann, thank you. And for both of us, until next time, for both of us, thank you so much for listening, everyone. Until next time, keep beating to your Catholic heart and sowing hope. Thanks for listening to this episode of Sowing Hope on Patchwork Heart Radio. For more information about this podcast and our ministries, visit our websites, patchworkheart.org and andesantis.com. You can also follow and interact with us on Twitter at PWH Ministry or Ann DeSantis 2.